Hey Phil, thank you for coming and accepting to be part of that crazy idea I had to bring in 12 amazing people to learn and teach to people. But before we do the kind of educational and actually relevant part, I need to know, since it's the holiday season, do you have a favorite dish, tradition, or song that you just enjoy a lot during the holiday time?
Oh, okay. This is a hard one. It's the first one on the list, so you know I'm gonna do great. So my family, like, I grew up in Texas, right? In the U.S. and yeah, like Texas, we did like really weird Christmas. Like my grandmother always liked putting up these like chili pepper themed Christmas lights, and that was always my favorite thing every year. Because I just thought it was really unique. Like, you know, you'd go around to like different houses and stuff, and like I think Christmas trees are really pretty and everything, but like she always had these like chili pepper themed Christmas lights, and I love them. So I kept trying to find them as an adult too, and they're really hard to find for some reason. But I finally found some like a few years ago. So it's kind of like my thing that I like to do every year is like decorate the tree and put up these really weird lights. That's honestly, that's like, it just reminds me of home. I like Texas a lot, even though I haven't been there in a long time.
Do they look something like this?
Oh, because it was like it looked like the Chili's logo, right? Like the restaurant, little things, and then that's how they'd hang there. I was like, this is the most aggressively Southern thing I've ever seen in my life. They're old, like they're vintage. They're really hard to find. There was this dude in like Studio City that runs a Christmas shop in Los Angeles, and like so I went to talk to this guy because he actually had some, and I was like, "Hey, can I buy these from you?" And he's like, "Yeah, for $200." It's like, whoa, oh, excuse me. It's like, yeah, they're vintage.
It's like black market.
Yeah, it was. I was like, no, we're just gonna keep scouting around Amazon for a bit because like they're super hard to find for some reason. And I say that, like, as I say that, like, anybody listening to this, they're gonna go search for them online and probably find them in, like, 2 seconds.
Okay, if I find some, I'll be sure to let you know.
I bought some, like, the year before last, and I gave them to my dad as a Christmas present. Because it was, like, his side of the family. Yeah, that was kind of that Christmas tradition. I think the other thing, like, I mean, obviously every family gets together and has, like, a big meal and everything, but, like, oh my god, my grandma could cook, like, super, super well. So it was always, like, really good like Texas style pot roast, and like she has like a gravy recipe that she refuses to share with anybody else and everything. So like it's oof, man. Our family knows how to eat. Like that's we're exceptionally good at it.
That's nice. And you know how that's another one I asked to everyone. 2020 has been one heck of a year for many reasons. Can you share one amazing positive things that occurred during this year?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I've been super, I think, fortunate this year to not only like, you know, I've managed to stay like pretty safe, right? Like things are pretty wild in America right now. But I'm really grateful. Like I got to move into a house with 2 of my best friends. So, you know, I get to hang out with them every day. My girlfriend's doing great. Like, she's safe. She's chilling. And to say that, you know, there's maybe like one huge thing that's happened this year. You know, I got to start working with Flying Bark from Australia, which has been just such a great like learning experience. I am a storyboard supervisor over there, and I get to you know, work with a bunch of people and just like, you know, made a bunch of new friends in Australia. They tried to fly me out there, and it was I kid you not, it was right at the beginning of March, and the Sunday that I was going to get on the plane, they were like, hey, so you probably can't come anymore because the virus really popped off. And I was like, well, that stinks. But yeah, it happened right then. But you know what? It's fine because like they were looking out for me. They wanted me to be safe. I think if I had gone, I probably would have actually been stuck there for like months.
Well, there's worse places to be stuck in than Australia, you know.
That's the thing, right? I was like, man, maybe it would have been kind of fun though, because I mean that crew is just like super super cool. I get to work with Sarah Harper, like literally every single day. We're like Skyping, talking about boards and stuff. Like I love it. They're a great team, and I mean to say that they've been anything less than like an absolute just like blessing to my career would be an understatement. They're phenomenal, and yeah, they're just a bunch of goofs, and I love them.
Yeah, nice to hear that your positive thingy was even about storyboard and animation. Just shows how maybe a bit passionate you are. I don't know.
I like to keep it on brand, you know. Okay, I feel bad because I'm not drawing anything, and I need like a Pokemon. Let's see, hold on. I'm gonna find. Let's see, random Pokemon generator.
Oh, I'm all up for that.
Yeah, and let's just see what comes up. Let's see. We're just gonna. The one that it gave me first, by the way, if you want to join, is Grookey, which he scares me a little bit. I gave him these very like murderous eyes here. This was absolutely my own doing. Have you played the newest gen yet? The newest like Pokemon game?
Yeah, I did. I didn't get the updates, but I didn't get the expansions, but I did get the game.
Did you enjoy it? Like who did you start with? Who did you go with?
I started with Sobble, and he's been crying in my box ever since.
Oh no! So you didn't like what he turned into, huh?
Yeah, well, I don't like when Pokemons look like humans, and he turns on into this James Bond-ish chameleon thing, and it makes me feel uneasy.
Yeah, you know what? I feel the same way. Like, Inteleon was just a little too... It just kind of hit Uncanny Valley a little bit, you know? Where it's like, oh, I don't like any of this.
Like, I think it's the gloves. Like, his markings are gloves. Like, what?
Is it? I think you're right, actually. Like, I didn't put a lot of thought into it, but it really is the gloves. It's like, oh man, this is too much. It's too real.
And I mean, poor Sobble, but this gen was home to one of my new favorite Pokemon, and he's just gorgeous.
Which one is that?
This one. I don't know if I can draw him well, but I know he's like this. And he has like this super cool brow and mustache.
Okay, wait, I gotta see if I can guess who it is. Oh, it's the centipede.
Yes. Centiskorch. He's so cool. Like, yeah. I love that Pokemon so bad.
I mean, I guess Sobble shouldn't be too sad because I'm pretty sure it could like waste a Centiskorch, you know, based on like type matchup. But still, like, yeah, just aesthetically, like, Centiskorch kind of puts Sobble in the ground. Sorry, Sobble. A lot of friends that really liked it.
The perfect mix between a stove and a centipede.
Oh, what a good one.
Okay, but look at that. I sent you a link in general. You can maybe use that for inspiration.
This is my... Is it Girafarig inspiration?
Nope.
Oh, Pokemon Fusion. Okay, yeah, well, this is what we're gonna do then. So I gotta draw whatever kind of eldritch nightmare this thing manages to generate then, I think.
And while you do, I want to know what inspires you most when you create.
Not the fusion of Drowsy and Golduck.
Oh,
it's kind of where I'm at right now. That's my visual. That's what I've been confronted with. You know, honestly, I think so much of creativity is just like taking everything in around you. Like I kid you not, I make playlists of just like things that I find interesting on YouTube for my board team. You just kind of constantly like learn by looking at what other people are doing and like looking at things you love and drawing inspiration from that. And just being around other creative people, like I think is such a benefit. Like I have such a hard time with the work from home thing sometimes because I love being in like a creative environment. But it's really like it's inspiring to me mostly just to be around like coworkers and kind of see what they're like putting out there. I got to work with this like phenomenal artist named Sarah Partington. She was my board partner on GlitchText, her and Sung Kim. And like the three of us, like, you know, we would just kind of constantly like be showing each other our work and, you know, kind of like trying to one up each other almost. But like, I think me and Sarah a little bit more so than me and Sung, but like we would collaborate back and forth on these. Like Sarah and I got like competitive with it, is what I'm trying to say. Like we would collaborate on these action sequences and like be like, okay, who can do like the sickest flip now? Like we're gonna see who can pull off like the weirdest move in the glitch text boards, just like for fun, like there was never any like animosity to it. When I say competition, it's just like us messing around and seeing who can get away with like the wildest like craziest thing that we could have the glitch text do. Like it's just fun to kind of like push your own limits that way and like use your friends as kind of a sharpening tool. Like you see what they're doing and you kind of push yourself a little bit further because of that. Like I think it's super important to like stay close to people in the industry and like see what they're doing too, and really just feed off of that energy. It's easy to get tired creatively, but I think when you have people around you that are constantly like working and doing cool stuff, it's way easier to kind of keep yourself in that mindset. Oh, I just rambled for like a minute.
That's super interesting, and it also brings back to a point that honestly almost everyone on this little event talked about. Either you're a student who doesn't go to animation school, or you're a freelancer working on your own. There's only so much you can do on your own, and I know it's very tempting to say like, yeah, screw the system, school is just there to steal my money, I'm not gonna go to school, I'm gonna do it all on my own because there's like tutorials on the internet. And yeah, well, tutorials are only gonna get you so far, and tutorials are especially not going to take you out of your comfort zone. So like you say, having friends, not to be in competition with them, like unhealthy competition with them, but like friends and like art pals are there to kind of push you to try things you wouldn't normally do. Is that what you meant by like this?
Yeah. I'm glad you clarified, because like I'm sitting here like, oh man, if Sarah listens to this, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm saying like she was my enemy and no, like Sarah and I, like we got really close on that show, and we're still very close on that show. Like when I say we were competing with each other, I mean it in like the friendliest way possible. It's just like we'd see what the other person was doing and be like, oh man, that is so cool. Now I really want to, do something cool as well, to just kind of meet that energy. There's never any animosity behind it. Like your friends in the industry, like, yeah, they're going to do really cool stuff, and then you're going to want to do really cool stuff. You always want to look at your as your teammates as people that are there to like help you on a good team. Like your teammates should always want to help you grow, and vice versa. Like you want to help them grow as well. Like if you're struggling with something, you should feel like you can reach out and like talk to them about it. So like, yeah, just I'm really glad you clarified. Like it's always within the scope of like pushing each other in a friendly way, never in like an aggro way. Hey, this Gloom Blastoise is just falling apart, like right underneath me.
Oh my lord.
This is the worst thing I've ever done. And
wait, I'm gonna give him some room. Boop.
Hate it.
There we go. And what is something that you enjoy the most about your work? Like, if you're that passionate about drawing, about storyboarding, there's gonna be one thing that's really pushing you forward.
Doing sick flips. I don't know. That's, I love doing just like weird pacing and action and stuff, and like trying to find, cool new things that I haven't done before. It's whenever I hear about like an episode that has maybe like a theme or something where I'm like, oh, I haven't gotten to draw that yet. Like, as silly as it might sound, that's kind of what gets me excited to work on it, where I'm like, I kept pushing constantly on glitch text. I really wanted to do a racing episode, like a Mario Kart episode, because I'm super passionate about Mario Kart. But we unfortunately never got to. But yeah, just anything that I haven't gotten to do yet. Like that's kind of what keeps me going. Like I like the experience of getting to draw things that I don't usually get to draw, and stage things in places that people typically don't get to stage things. Like it's you're gonna board a million sequences of like characters sitting at a kitchen table talking about stuff. I've done it on multiple shows. Like it's just it's kind of a universal concept. So anytime somebody's like, hey, so we're gonna do like a 0G fight in space, and all the characters have like giant swords and robot armor and stuff, be like, oh hell yeah, sign me up. Like, because it's just, you know, how often you get to do that. I think that's something that was so great about Ninja Turtles, was there were just all these really wild concepts of like, you know, we got to do the two-parter mid-season episode for season 2 where like the turtles got handcuffed to a bunch of the villains, and I was like, man, that's such a cool concept. Like, when do you ever get the chance to do a fight where these characters are like handcuffed together? And so we really got to kind of utilize that in an interesting way. So yeah, I think maybe that answers the question. Like, that's kind of what keeps me going, is just getting to do new weird stuff.
That's nice. That's a very interesting point.
Well, anytime you, as an artist, are kind of at a point where like you've been given a prompt, you've been given a script or something like that, and you have to go through it and like kind of break it down. Like, ask yourself, like, what can I do in this specific like scenario or setup that like I'll never get to do again? Like, what's unique about this? And then like try to find that and like lean into it. And I think that's what makes like really interesting boards in a lot of ways.
Do you think it's a way that you can make your work a bit more fun? Because now you're working on a project that seems to be very interesting, but you know, it's still a job. Sometimes you're gonna work on things that are not super interesting for you, and I guess there's what I'm trying to push forward to my students, that there's always a way to make it interesting.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, like, it's my friend Kalen, he's a phenomenal animator. He's worked at like 6 Point Harness. He's working at Disney right now, but he's very much in this like, he was in that Newgrounds scene, you know, like back in the late 2000s and early 2010s. And I think the thing that he always said was like, you know, no matter what you're on, even if it's not necessarily something that's like your particular passion, like find a way to like learn from it and push yourself. Like if you put Kalen on a show that was just completely outside of his ballpark of like what he usually enjoys working on, he's still going to push himself as hard as he can, because like, you know, he wants to do cool stuff. Like, there's something you can learn from every single genre of storytelling, right? Like, whether you're working in children's animation or whether you're working in, you know, adult animation. And he's done both. Like, he's really kind of jumped back and forth. Like, he enjoys, I think, more adult oriented, like Newgrounds era, like combat animation, but he's also worked on stuff for kids, and he's worked on stuff for Fox Animation. Like, he's been all over the place. And I think no matter what, he really pushes himself to like extrapolate as much as he can from each situation, learn from the people around you. Even if you're not necessarily passionate about the material, there's always something like cool that you can take away from a show, I think.
Wise words. So now to talk a bit more about like working in storyboards. So what is like the everyday life of a board artist?
You know, it I feel like it varies from show to show, right? When I was on, the very first show that I worked on was a show called Pig Goat Banana Cricket on Nickelodeon, and it was kind of this like 90s-esque revival show akin to, they were going for like Ren and Stimpy vibes, but with new characters. And with that, I mean, we would have like 16 pages of boards for like a handout per person. And so for that, really, I'd get up at like, that was when I was like at my peak form, right? Like, I was super, super green and super, super new to boarding, but I would wake up at like 8 o'clock every morning, which for me is very early because I don't do mornings well. But I'd wake up at like 8 and get to work by 9. And then I'd literally just sit there and work from like 9 to 6. And I'd like skip lunch. And I was super into just, you know, it was like my first job. So I was super keen on dumping as much time into things as I could. And so, you know, it was just this kind of like 8 or 9 hours a day of just drawing, and then going home, and I'd chill and like watch. I think Game of Thrones was like super popular at the time, so me and my roommate would go through that. And that's, you know, that was maybe 2 years of my life where it was just like constant drawing all the time. And I got so tired. I don't know if I could do that anymore. I think I probably pushed myself too hard, to be honest. Breaks are important, by the way. Take your lunch break with your coworkers.
It's so important.
Yeah, it's so important for like avoiding burnout and stuff. Like, just please go do it if you don't. But yeah, so that was my schedule on that show. It was really fun, and then I got to work on kind of glitch text after that, and that's where I really learned to like chill and go through the script and everything. Like it was a hard show. It was a very complex show. We put a ton of work and time into it.
It was a hard
but
show for everyone.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean yeah. So yeah, because you've also experienced just like how complex that show was. Like we were doing crazy
I
stuff on the
experienced
boards.
how hard your boards were to put into final animation.
I would like to begin. We're gonna just start the interview over. I'd like to begin with an apology. Yeah, it was one of those things where like we kind of had carte blanche with the boards, right? Like Eric was really just like, yeah, go nuts. And we did, like it was so fun. And then sometimes I think I would go too nuts and do like crazy camera rotations and stuff and like not consider that was going to be a nightmare for the back end. But yeah, so I mean, the schedule on that was pretty much the same, right? Like we'd have about 4 weeks to do thumbs and about 3 weeks for cleanups and stuff. We were on like a 7 to 8 week schedule, which was like unheard of at the time. It was crazy long, but I mean, we needed it, right? Like there was just so much on that show. It was so complex, and I loved every second of it. Like it was so fun to just get to draw Five and Nico like beating the crap out of video game characters all the time. Like that was my dream as a kid.
I know. That's why I got on that show at first.
Right. When everybody hears about the concept, you're just like, oh, I have to work.
There sure was a lot of passions in that show.
So, and I hope it didn't overwhelm anybody. Like I know the animation teams that worked on the back end, just like, oh my god, the amount of love that got poured into that show and effort and everything was so overwhelming. I definitely have, I think, since Glitch Tech's had to learn to kind of paper what I'm doing a little bit, just within the context of like animation simplicity. Like I think that's more what I'm doing now as a storyboard supervisor, is making sure that the boards are like animatable, that we're not doing shots that are like way too complex, or like I'm gonna be honest, there's not a single shot in the world that the Flying Bark animation team can't handle. Like they are so crazy talented. It's just like you don't want to be giving them like S tier difficulty shots all the time, right? Because then they're gonna get exhausted. So like that's a lot of what I'm doing now.
You gotta find like a balance or something.
Yeah, exactly. And just making sure that like, yeah, there is a level of simplicity where we can make it work, because otherwise you're gonna burn out your animation team, and they're gonna be emailing you like, hey, can you not slowly kill us over the course of the show, please? Thank you.
How do you approach a new board? Do you receive the script? Do you have a meeting with the directors? I know it depends from show to show, but what is usually the experience you had with starting a board for an episode or a section of an episode?
Yeah, we always do the handout, right? Like you're saying, we'll do the handout, and then we kind of take some time to digest it, right? Like I think reading through it together as a team is always something that I encourage. It's something that I've kind of brought with me to Flying Bark as well. Like just we've started doing little team handouts. Like we'll read through the whole thing together as a crew always, but then we'll come back to it a few weeks later once the episode's actually ready for handout, and just read through it again, and we'll all kind of like pick parts and everything and go through it, and really just take that time to ask questions and go through like what could potentially be like problem areas for the script. And I think digesting it like that, I think really making sure that you can visualize the material is so important. Like I've made the mistake so many times of getting a script and then just like day one jumping in and trying to start drawing, and it never works out, right? Like it's you gotta let it sit. You gotta let it kind of ruminate for a little bit. I think sometimes the time you spend not drawing is as important as the time you do spend drawing, like that thought process time. And that's really kind of where you generate those ideas. So that's a big part of my like starting process with the handouts. That said, I have a lot of coworkers that I'm very jealous of, because they'll just sit there and do like thumbnails on paper I'm like incapable of that for some reason. Like, I don't know if that's something you enjoy doing or if anybody listening enjoys doing. It's just like sitting there literally like drawing little squares on the paper and like blocking out their shots that way. Yeah, I can't. I just can't. I gotta draw on the computer now. I've been ruined. Like, technology has ruined me.
You've been ruined?
Yeah, I can't. Like, I literally have such a hard time drawing on anything but a computer now. And I kind of hate that, you know? Like, I feel like I've lost touch with my artistic roots. Young Phil would be so upset with me. I used to have, like, a sketchbook when I was in high school, right? Like, I mean, I think everybody did. I can't even keep a sketchbook anymore. I just have like tabs at the end of my Storyboard Pro files, and that's where all of my drawings are, like my doodles and everything. And then I just save them out and like keep them in folders.
I was gonna ask about that. So you're one of these people who loves to draw things around the margins of your storyboard.
Yeah, the number of times I've had an editor come back after like exporting my boards and be like, "Hey, I really enjoyed that doodle you did in the margins," and I'm like, "Oh shit, I forgot to delete it." Like, it's happened so many times. Because yeah, that's really where I like to draw. I like to just, you know, open a blank like shot and just kind of do whatever in the margins and stuff. Like, yeah, that's my go-to.
What is the worst thing that you drew in there that got caught by somebody else who saw it?
Ooh, I mean, you know, it's nothing like inappropriate or like.
No, right? I don't think it's inappropriate, but like the funniest thing I meant.
Oh yeah. I had some D&D characters in the margins a few times, and like those tend to get kind of wild, right? Is like a goblin with like a giant shotgun or something was like a character that I played for the longest time. So that was one where we were like, "Hey, that was a really interesting and absolutely wild little goblin creature you had in there in the margins." Like, yeah, that's my D&D character. I'm kind of obsessed with Dungeons and Dragons. Like, that's it's a good pastime. It's a good way to spend time. I'm trying to think of like other, like, what's the weirdest thing I've ever drawn in the margins?
That's a legit answer.
There's so many, right? Like, I don't know. I've been doing it for so long that.
Is that a Magikarp and a Jolteon?
It is, and I'm trying to size it down. Oh, nope. There we go. Yeah, Jolteon's like one of my favorite Pokemon, and then it was like Magikarp, and it's like, oh no.
Do you also sometimes do the edits, or is it always handled by somebody else? Because I know you've worked on like bigger productions, so I guess the edit was done by somebody else. But do you sometimes do edits for your own project?
No, I've never been I've never done like animatic editing. Like as the short answer to that question, like I've never done that. I've always thought it'd be interesting and kind of like fun to do, but I understand it's such a different skill set, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I've tried a few times. Like, I've sat down and been like, "Oh, I want to do animatic editing. It seems like really fun." And then I realized that, like, you know, picking like the music fade-ins and everything, like it's hard. It's super hard. I have a lot of respect for the people that do animatic editing.
Yeah, the reason why I ask is I have lots of students who are often like, "Yeah, I can draw good storyboards, but I can never time them well enough. I'll never be able to make it into animatic." I'm like, well, duh, because it's two different jobs.
Yeah, you know, you shouldn't be stressed if you feel like your animatic timing is not like the best. It's something that really develops with time. I will say, I've definitely worked on a bunch of shows where we time our boards if that's what people are stressed about. I get it. Like, I think it's something it's kind of a hot button issue, right? Because like it wasn't always something that board artists were asked to do, but I think it's increasingly kind of being put forth as part of like the board team task, just because Storyboard Pro and Toon Boom products just enable it from such an early stage. But if you're feeling like your timing's not working right, like if it's something that you want to improve,
it's something you can work on, definitely.
Yeah, it's definitely, for sure, like it's absolutely a skill set that you just you have to improve it like anything else, right? Like, it's just going to come with practice. start by, get your friends together. Well, okay, not now, but like, when you can, or even just like this, where you can record like multiple people's audio, and time your animatics with Scratch. Like that's something that I think is really going to help if it's something that you feel like you want to improve. Because yeah, just like raw timing from nothing can get really difficult, and like understanding when to like play the pause of a beat or something, like, yeah, that just comes with experience. That comes with like watching things and trying it, and it messing up and you trying it again. But I would say start off with acting. Start off with things that like have very specific timing, because when the line ends, like that's the end of the line. Like the timing is got to kind of fit the audio that you have. So I think it's a good way to just kind of get your feet wet with that. But don't think that you're never going to get a job in animation or something because you don't think your animatic timing is the best.
Yeah,
Like
but yeah,
I
I
will
guess
take an
especially
artist.
nowadays, like knowing how to time your board is an asset, and it's fun, and it's asked a bit more. I have a friend who boards and told me that it's nice because it gives a bit of more of a not ownership, but it's like it's another craft that is starting to be fun to develop, like how to time your boards a little bit. But like the final edit will mostly never be in your hands anyway, so.
No, yeah, I have never touched a final edit. I mean, I've sat in the animatic room, right, like on Turtles, and to the extent that I can kind of go through animatics with Flying Bart because I'm remote. But yeah, it's there's always going to be an animatic editor that like has my back, that's doing like a timing pass on top of everything else. Like you will never see your final timing in the final product. It's just not going to happen.
Unless you're working in a very small team with like independent stuff, but that's different. And it's actually great if you want to learn something different and have more responsibility, but it's not mandatory.
Absolutely. I mean, if it's something that you want to just practice at, like, ask your animatic editor. Like if you're on a team, or if you know any people that do animatic editing, just like go talk to them, ask them for tips, ask them if they have any like rough timed boards that you could take a pass over and literally just work on the timing. That way you don't even have to worry about doing the drawings. You're just kind of getting like raw footage, and feel your way through that, see how it goes. Getting feedback on stuff like that is going to push you like so much further than just kind of like trying to go it alone.
That is such a great advice, and it brings me to another question I was about to ask you. What is something that you learned from a coworker, a friend, or just a colleague, like something that you learned from somebody else by getting help from a peer?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, like kind of everything, right? Which sounds like such a BS answer, but like I feel like you learn a lot just from like looking at what your coworkers do. I remember being on Pig Goat, and a lot of my shot choices were just they were okay. They were a little junior, and I got to work with this woman named Brienne Droward, and she's awesome. I don't know if you guys know Brienne or follow her, but she does the RPG comic, right? But her shot choices, I was so enamored with her shot choices. I thought they were so like just well picked, and she always had like these really great like perspective grids, and the amount of detail that she had in every background was just like exactly what I wanted it to be. So I would look at her boards. I would just kind of like study them and do like little off to the side in the margins. I just make little thumbnails and do little like studies of her boards to learn about how she composed a shot, and like it pushed me a lot further. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've taken. I really love studying like shot composition, just in terms of like staging and like foreground elements and focal length and all of those different kind of things that really can like change up a shot and make even like just 2 1-point shots feel completely different depending on like the focal length of the camera. Like there's so many little details, and there's always so much to learn and experiment with in that regard.
That's cool.
Yeah, I got caught up in it there. Let's see. I gotta find.
Stop saying you get caught up. That's what people are here for. That's what I'm here for. That's what I asked you to come here, because your experience is interesting to everyone, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna help a lot of people. Yay!
I think this Pokemon generator has given me what might be the best Pokemon fusion I've ever seen. It's Dugong and Psyduck.
I got Dugong and Diglett.
It's called Duduck. Wait. You have oh my god, I see it down there. I didn't even notice it. You snuck that one in there on me. Oh, that's so good. Oh my god, it's adorable.
If you could excel in another discipline that is not your main area of expertise, like not storyboard, if you could be amazing at something else, what would it be, and for what reason? And you get to keep, like, if you pick, for example, be good at painting, you get to keep everything you've done during that 24 hours of being amazing at something else. What would it be?
Oh, so I get to keep it. You know, this is gonna sound kind of silly, but like I think about this a lot actually. Of like, if things you were good at just kind of converted into like video game stats, you know, like if I had a certain amount of stat points to spend, and I feel like I kind of min-maxed, right? Like I dumped all of my points into storyboarding, and I'm like, man, it'd be cool if you could like re-roll your character, but have that same like stat spread, but then like put it into like, I don't know, being really good at like martial arts or something. Like what's the equivalent? And so it's silly to say, but I've kind of actually thought about this before.
Oh, that's okay. I have a friend who said that they wanted to be good at making food.
Okay, that's exactly what I was gonna say though. I'd go with cooking. I can't. Like, I'm so bad at cooking. I'm terrible at it. I just never learned, right? Like my mom really enjoyed cooking and my grandma really enjoyed cooking, and I tried, but I just kind of like didn't have the patience for it, and I've always regretted it. Like I really wish I was good at just like baking, honestly. I think would be the direction that I'd take it. When I was in college one time, I tried to make these cookie dough cupcakes, right? Where you freeze the cookie dough and then put it in the center of the cupcakes. When you bake the cupcake, there's still like raw cookie dough in the middle. Which,
so that's how you do it. Oh Lord, I didn't know.
It's super dangerous, I think, though, right? Because like E. coli is a thing. Like you can get salmonella and different like diseases from raw cookie dough. So I wouldn't recommend doing this. I didn't know this at the time because I was just, again, didn't know much about food. But so yeah, I did that, and it actually came out like super well, and I was really impressed with myself. And I've always been just like too scared to try it again. I was like, okay, cool. I had that one run. It was limited success. We're never gonna go back. And yeah, I would love to be good at cooking.
I mean, as long as nobody died, you're fine.
I think it'd be no one died. Thank God.
So you storyboard in Storyboard Pro, right?
Yes, because
So what are 3 features about that software that you couldn't live without?
For those of you that might not know, in Storyboard Pro, when you like make a dot and then you hold Shift, it draws it. It makes a straight line, right, from point A to point B. As you can see, it doesn't do it here. So I just really beefed that. But like I love that tool so much. Like it kind of keeps me drawing fast. Whenever I feel like I'm like lagging or something, like yeah, I'll just start doing that straight line tool. Oh, hey, look, I kind of figured out how to do it, but wrong. Oh no, wait, there's no edit undo.
You're talking the brush tool or the line tool?
It's both, right? Like, because it's the brush, but when you hold down the Shift key while you use the brush, it lets you draw in a straight line, and I love it.
Okay, yeah, I get what you mean.
That's like absolutely one of my favorite things. The other thing that, let's see, okay, so two more. I think the motion layer tool is like honestly so awesome. Like it's something that Photoshop doesn't have. Let's see what the tool's actually called. The layer transform tool. The one that just kind of lets you like tween things.
Yeah,
like,
you can
simply.
keyframe your drawing. That's amazing. Woo!
Yeah, I love doing that and just like kind of having different layers of the background. Like if you're in a pan shot or something where you're walking with the characters, you can have like different parts of the background like move at different rates and stuff, and it just looks like really cinematic. Like, oh, I love it so much. And then let's see if I had to pick one more. Whew. That's a hard one. Let's see. I mean, the camera tool is awesome. Figuring out how to use that like took me so long, but like once I did, I was like, oh, I love this. Oh, you know what? I think I figured out what it is. I think it's just the perspective control tool.
Oh yeah.
Being able to just grab a drawing and be like, this should be more of an upshot, and then just like kind of merging those points together real quick. That's something that I've never really gotten to use in any other program that I thought like, you know, had like good controls to it, but in Storyboard Pro, it feels like it works pretty well. So I dig it a lot. Like I think it's actually a really fun way to add some dynamic angles to your board.
What do you think of the drawing tools in there?
I've gotten used to them. I mean, you know, I think Photoshop and Storyboard Pro are probably the two that I've drawn in the most, and I don't exactly know how to articulate the differences between the brushes, right? Like they both feel a little bit different in like ways that I can't describe. But I feel like I like the brush tool in Storyboard Pro pretty well. I love how easy it is to change, right? Like that you can go over and kind of start working with like a square brush. That you have your brush palette over there, and it's just like super convenient. I'm working in 5.1 because I'm on a really old computer, and that's about as high up as I can go.
5.1. No,
I know.
Poor thing.
Yeah, I'm stuck in like the dark ages of Storyboard Pro, but I have a new computer actually coming in the mail next week, so I'll be able to upgrade. But
is it because this is the one Flying Bark is providing, or is it just because you have this one?
No, so I bought a Mac back in, let's see, 2011. I got it. I got it as a gift from my parents for starting grad school, right? They were like, hey, your old Mac is kind of a hunk of junk at this point. So they got me this iMac. Needed a whole lot, right? Because like I used it for the first few years of college, and that was great. And then once I got my job at the industry, I just kind of kept going and using like the work computers and stuff. And then I bought like a gaming laptop so I can play games and stuff and not have to use the Mac because so many games just aren't like Mac compatible. So this thing's kind of sat over here and collected dust. Well, cut to quarantine. Suddenly, this guy's got to start doing some heavy lifting. So I'm sitting here with this like almost decade-old computer that's just like being crushed under the weight of like the 1,000 Google Chrome tabs that I have open. So I finally ordered a replacement, and then I'm going to reformat this one and donate it because, you know, like it's still usable, right? Like there's still somebody out there that I think can like probably get good use of it. My roommates were looking at my desktop the other day, and they were like, hey, Phil, you wonder why your computer runs slow. It's because you have like 4 Google Chrome windows open, and each one of them has like 15 tabs. It's like, yeah, but I can't move stuff. Oh my
God.
I gotta keep my place. I have all these videos that I want to watch. A lot of it's for work, but a lot of it's also just like music and shit.
Because one thing you would like from the latest, because usually I ask people what is the one feature you would wish for in the software, but like you're on 5, it's been years. But
I still have an answer. I still definitely have an answer to this because I just want that second timeline so bad. Like I would love I'd love to get a second Storyboard Pro timeline for sure. I mean I know that they have the one now where you can stick a MOV in like a new like movie timeline and then kind of work on top of that. But I think just to have like the 2 timelines to the same degree that like
teaser
Flash
or spoiler in the next one.
Is it happening?
What?
Is it happening?
In the next one, you have, and this is not getting out of this video, in the next one, you have your current timeline, and like you said, you have the other one when you can put the videos and images and stuff, right? and on all these video tracks where you can put images, you're gonna have not exactly a second timeline because you cannot put like transition and stuff in there. But you can, like on these video tracks, you're gonna be able to put panels with layers and layers and layers and stuff. So that's basically what you're wishing for.
That's gonna be so nice. I'm really gonna dig that. It's, you know, it's honestly, it's such a fun, like, intuitive program. I think, like, the more time I spend in it, the more it really just feels like kind of second nature. But I definitely, like, I think it's had the good fortune of, like, Toon Boom has really, like, grown the program as storyboards have kind of grown digitally as an art form. It's such a niche piece of software, but I think it's just, man, I love using it. Like, it's, I've tried to board in Photoshop, and I
did that for school. It was painful.
You know, they boarded the 2012 the 2012 like Ninja Turtles series, the one that Zero did for like Nickelodeon. That was all boarded in Photoshop.
And believe it or not, it's super popular as a technique, but then like you have to manually write everything into the little boards, like, and if you add one panel, then you have to change all the numbering. It's a nightmare, and you have to export every images to Avid for the animatics. It's just nightmare fuel.
It's a disaster in my opinion. Like, just trying to board in Photoshop, I don't know how people do it. It seems just like an absolute fool's errand, but there are people that still swear by it. So I mean, good for them for finding what they like. Yeah. I'm not gonna knock them for it, but like, oof, not for me.
I think it comes back to people saying like, well, the software doesn't make the artist, but you know, having a software that prevents you from wasting 3 hours making workarounds kind of help you get a better artist because you're not wasting as much time. But you know, that's just my point of view.
Oh no, I absolutely agree. I mean, like, yeah, you can take a good artist and they'll, you know, be able to use any piece of software to a degree, but like when you have one that's specifically made for the thing you're trying to do, like, oh man, just use it. Like, it's so good.
It's like, okay, of course you can make a grilled cheese in your toaster, but it's not recommended.
Yeah, it's maybe not a great move. Okay, this one that it gave me here, this new Pokemon fusion is I think you're gonna be able to guess what the first half of it is. It's like Gyarados. Pretty fast. Yeah, what? Jeez. Okay, psychic. Yeah, so it's definitely Gyarados for the first half. If you can get anybody, we're the only 2 people here. If you can guess what the second half is, I'm gonna laugh. Let's see. This is what a Gyarados that I've drawn here.
And while you say that, it's Christmas time, and it's time to give back to the lovely people around the world. So I'd like to know, what is one thing that keeps you motivated to work? Maybe that's gonna inspire other people.
Ooh, that's a good one. You know, being around other creative people and feeding off of that energy. But I think right now that's not super an option, right? Because we're all kind of like apart physically. But
there's voice chat.
That is true. I think right now one of the things really keeping me going is like, you know, I have a pitch partner, right? This guy named Adam Gans, who's a really, really close friend of mine. He's my co-creator for the short that I'm working on at Cartoon Network. And working with him on different pitches, you know, we're working on another one right now, keeping it going, because you always kind of want to be creating. And I think really the gift that he gives me all the time is his time and his input, and like the way that he is constantly helping me. Like, he, you know, so he's more of kind of on the writing side of things. He wants to get into scripting. But having that work partner, having that creativity buddy, man, it keeps me going, right? Because like I can bounce ideas off of him, and then he'll bounce ideas back. And we just use that to kind of like sharpen each other, where we're both just thinking like, you know, what's a cool storytelling thing we could do right here? Like, what's something we could add? What's something we could tell about this world? And I think maybe that's, you know, if you're out there and you're feeling like you're struggling to keep going, if you feel like you kind of like running out of ideas or something, find yourself a creativity partner. Like find yourself somebody that can like throw ideas your way. I mean, kind of in the same way, even just in the moment of us like drawing all these little like random Pokemon, and then you send me this like Pokemon generator, and it's like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna draw, and I got really nervous about it, and then you threw this idea my way of like, yeah, let's just use this randomizer. It's so good. And in that same way, like finding somebody that you can just bounce ideas off of, finding somebody who shares creative interests with you that you can just keep talking to, even in times where like we do all feel so physically apart. It's going to really keep you going. I think it's something that like you're both going to benefit from. So reach out to somebody, like try working with new people, try working with people that you maybe don't get to talk to a lot, and see what ideas they have. Because, it's always good just in general to kind of go outside of your own experience and find stuff from different places and different walks of life. But I think like finding a partner that you can really effectively do that with and keep each other kind of like committed to pushing that creative envelope, it's really going to benefit you. And I think it's a good way to help a friend out too, to just keep going. Like
it's mutual help. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely. So yeah, find a creative buddy. TM. Yeah, go do that. Go give the gift of bouncing fun, wacky ideas off of your friends.
And do you have any suggestions of books that could help people get better at boarding, or just our field in general?
Ooh, okay. I feel like I always
books or tutorials. It can be anything. Just a resource that that is very useful.
Yeah. I mean, okay, first of all, if you haven't watched the Every Frame a Painting series on YouTube, oh my god, they're so good. They just, they cover all kinds of visually based like storytelling topics. They're all phenomenal. Amazing video series. The other thing I would suggest, and I feel like I plug this book like so much because I go back to my high school like once a year to just like talk and kind of give like a seminar and stuff. And every year I find myself plugging the book Framed Ink. And I'm gonna mess up how to say this guy's last name. Absolutely. Hold on, I'm gonna Google it. Marcos Mateo Mestre? No, I know that I beefed that absolutely, but maybe you can like drop a link to it or something. I'll send it to you. But it's a visual kind of drawing guide where he goes through and just like talks about shot choices and staging and framing and like all the really great like foundations of storyboards and visual storytelling. But also he goes a little in depth and like talks about why you want to use specific shots in specific places. And I just think it's a really great resource, especially like when I'm feeling like I can't set up a shot right, or I can't figure out what kind of shot I want to use. I'll like flip through the book and be like, oh, that's really cool. That's a great staging element. What if I did something like that? And it's a good way to just kind of like jog yourself out of like any kind of artistic doldrums that you might find yourself in. Because like art block sucks, right? We've all been there. And I think just having resource materials like that to help you kind of find your way out is super, super crucial. So I would go check out those. Also, just watch the movie Scott Pilgrim. Just watch.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Just watch any Edgar Wright film and be like, I want to do that. He's my constant source of inspiration. I think Edgar Wright is a phenomenal storyteller. World's End, the Cornetto trilogy, he directed all of those. Scott Pilgrim is amazing. God, I don't watch Baby Driver because it's full of so many problematic.
That was a lot of good suggestions. So
say what?
I'll be sure to link them down in the description below.
Yeah, just don't watch Baby Driver. So many problematic actors in that now. What happened? Yeah, this Gyarados he turned into something. I keep forgetting really how to deselect. There we go. I love it and hate it at the same time.
And yeah, thank you for all the good answers and all the good time. That was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for
We're at the
having me.
bottom of our
Jeez,
question
I
list,
hope
but-
I hope I was fun to. It was fun for you guys to listen to me like ramble through half coherent thoughts while drawing abomination Pokemon for the better part of an hour.
Yeah, so do you have any final words before we part ways?
Don't do drugs, stay in school. No, I mean, you know, it's we're in weird times right now, right? Like we're kind of in a weird place, but don't be afraid to reach out to the people around you. Like, please, if you're feeling alone, if you're feeling art block or emotional block, like whatever it is, like reach out to people around you. Go talk to your friends. Go talk to a therapist. Like, you're absolutely not alone. You have so many people that are passionate about drawing in this community and passionate about you as a creator. If you're listening to this, like, collaborate, talk to as many people as you can. Just like put yourself out there. And I wish everybody the best. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, I guess, but I just feel fortunate every day to be a part of this community. Like, there's so many great artists that are out there working right now, and just so many great people. And I love this. I love this community. I really, really, I'm proud to be a part of it, and I want to just make sure everybody feels welcome. So like. And advocate, I think, for like emotional health and artistic health and everything. I think that's like kind of been a big core part of where I've been going personally for the past 2 years. So please reach out to people around you. You're absolutely not alone, regardless of how like kind of divided I think we all feel right now. But I love you all, guys, and thanks for listening.
Well, thanks for coming and sharing all this experience.
Yeah.
And have a wonderful day, everyone. And with that, until next time, have a nice day.